Hello and welcome to Rosed FC, a brand new football show brought to you by our sponsors, Russian Gas and Alaskan Fracking, and a big thanks to them for all their support and everything they're doing for the globe around us. My name is Ed Cavalier, and joining me from an undisclosed location, he's just finished doing a fantastic job hosting the Stan Sports Champions League coverage. Turn on a television at any point in the last 40 years, and he will be there. Hello, Adam Peacock.
Ed Cavalier, it's great to be here, and as a big supporter of renewables and a big thought process guy of having life all about balance, it's great you've got those sponsors because now I'm balanced out. Fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wind farms. Cool. I hate birds as well. Now, also joining us live from Tactical Switch Consultancy and from many global mixed zones, it's a big hello to you, Mr. James Dodd.
Very good afternoon, very good morning. Whatever time you're listening to this, it is afternoon for us. Good to be here, gents.
Fantastic global perspective already. Huge shout out to our Bruneian viewers and listeners. Now you can see us on YouTube. You can see us on in your podcast feed. So the way this is going to work is we've all picked a topic from the global football from across the week or across the last couple of days that we don't think is getting enough chat, and we're going to bring it up with each other. We don't really know what each other's going to do. So if you're here listening for match previews, which is just a series of posh people from England saying, oh, I think Southampton might be about to beat their XG, then this is not the show for you. And that is not the show for anyone, I would argue. So who would like to open the banning this morning?
I'll go because
yes.
Dodds is still comprehending your attempt at an English accent. Ed,
I can do every town. I can do every region.
Sounded like me before I moved to Australia, to be fair.
Your Kiwi, we'll get your Kiwi one out eventually, Ed.
Yes,
but I'll go first. Look, it's topical this week because Manchester City have found themselves in some difficulty once again out of the Champions League. Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, they don't lead games 3-0 and not win them, which is what happened against Feyenoord off the back of 5 straight losses in all competitions. And it all, for me, comes down to Rodri. And looking at the postscript again from what has been a really difficult 90 minutes on the pitch for Manchester City, the talk is diverted. It's about Haaland, has he still got it? It's about Pep Guardiola, what on earth is he doing to his face during a game and his head? See all those scratches, by the way, guys? Yeah. Did you see them?
It was incredible. He had more damage than Jake Paul did, and which was a real telling factor.
Dodsy?
I just don't understand why. Yeah, I know Pep Guardiola is animated, and you know he's unless it was a player that he tried to do that coaching to after the game has done it to him instead, saying, "Come on, mate, we're just throwing away a 3-goal lead. Stop trying to coach me where I should be in the centre of the pitch." But the nose I can understand. There's a little scratch. Maybe he's caught himself with his nail. The ones on his head, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Here we go. I'm just going to bring it up for those watching it on YouTube. It was quite incredible. I'm just going to attempt to share the screen. Talk amongst yourselves while I just get on the phone to Geeks to you while I can work out how to do this.
We've got everything here at Rosette FC.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I know Guardiola gets frustrated. I know he's been accused of overcoaching. But then he ends up looking like this. For listeners, it's on our screen right now. I'm sure you can have a look at the photo pretty easily on social media. It looks like he's fallen off his moped without his helmet on, unfortunately. And hopefully he's okay. Like, it's doing this to him at the moment. But, guys, the point I want to make is he's like this. Manchester City are in this predicament at the moment because of Rodri. Now, I know one player should not make an entire squad, but if you look at how Manchester City play, with the single pivot at the base of midfield, trying to operate things, organise off the ball, cover when things look like they're going to drip into a bit of disaster. Yes, it's hard to cover up from mistakes like Gvardiol made twice in this game. He made another one against Spurs. But control is everything what Pep Guardiola is about. And they control games in the opposition's half by having the ball. People say it's boring, but that Pep Guardiola said it time and time again. I win football games by controlling football games with the ball in the opposition half. Not a counter-attacking team. Yes, we're exposed sometimes. But Rodri, when he's not there, it's an entirely different equation. And yes, he's got a big shiny trophy as World Player of the Year, the Ballon d'Or, which he totally deserved. And not saying that Vinicius didn't, but I'm saying I've got no arguments whatsoever with him winning it. And yet, I still feel that this guy is underrated. And a bigger picture, the position of a defensive midfielder number 6 in football is still criminally underrated. What say you?
I'm going to throw it out there, Adam. I think this is, whilst I completely agree that Rodri is arguably, for years it was Kevin De Bruyne, wasn't it? People talk about Erling Haaland. Before that, you had players of David Silva's importance, Yaya Toure. But I think actually, if you look at someone of Rodri's stature within that team, there's no doubt that they are held together by his stuff that he does on the ball and off the ball. But this is the team that won the treble 2 seasons ago, that won the league last year. They're also at 3-2. They're on the halfway line. They're playing the most suicidal kamikaze high line imaginable, having just shipped 2 goals in the space of, 10 minutes? This, as much as this, I agree that there is a Rodri-shaped chasm in the middle of their field at the moment. There are people like Bernardo Silva, Mateus Nunes, Jack Grealish, Erling. There are experienced players on the pitch that should know better. Game management is a term that comes up all the time, right? It's one of those things that players and players can look at a coach and go, hey, listen, you put the team together, but we're the ones that actually have to go out and fulfill what you want, and we're the ones who have to make decisions on the fly as to whether or not we are a bit too open, we're being a bit too risky here, whatever it may be. That doesn't excuse what happened in that Manchester City game. And I think Rodri, no doubt, is the linchpin of the side, but there are so many good other players on that football pitch that can account for his loss, right? And that is prime example. Yes, Rodri probably doesn't help them, be part of a team that concedes 4 at home to Tottenham and 3 in the space of 15 minutes against Feyenoord. But still, there are good enough footballers in that team that can account for Rodri's absence. Do you agree?
No, because Rodri holds it all together. He is, to that team, what Botox is to an Eastern Suburbs socialite. Like that, they just look
better,
different,
heaps
and
better.
they can't be themselves.
Better.
Unfortunately,
Better.
And
It's better.
It's unfortunate for them, but it's the way. And the number 6 in football, Carl Valeri, he spent time at your club. Ed, look at this, a little fist bump. He actually spent time at Inter Milan as a
he did
as
early
a young
on in
player.
the Primavera, and then he had one of those cruel things where finally his team got promoted from Serie B, and then he left. Those desperately unlucky. Every time they get promoted,
Thanks,
they
agent.
get shipped on. Yeah. Poor old Carl. Yes,
Thanks a lot. So Carl Valeri once said that a teammate of his said in Italy, "You know what, Carl? I didn't realise it, but I don't notice you when you're there, but I notice you when you're not there," which is the biggest backhanded compliment I think you can give a footballer. But that's the role of number 6. And you're watching a game of football, you're watching that big Norwegian wheel off and celebrate, you're watching Kevin De Bruyne play these ridiculous passes. That's the highlight reel. The highlight reel doesn't happen if Rodri doesn't make an intelligent decision with the ball, with his positioning. It is everything to a Pep Guardiola.
Is there a
plays
Rodri
at the moment.
supercut on YouTube that I can watch? Because that's what it needs. If anyone these days, there's nothing exists until there's a YouTube supercut. So if anyone's out there, I need a YouTube supercut of, or even Stan could. Why can't Stan Sports do it? A Rodri smart
5 metre
decisions.
bounce passes.
Yeah, 5 minutes, just a supercut.
Tactical fouls on the halfway line.
That's what we need. The kids will not get it until they see that. Because Mbappe is the exact opposite. He's got a logo. He's got a brand. He's got a team. He's got a strategy. He's got club ownership, and he can't score a penalty. He's the exact opposite of what Rodri is, because he's what every department wants, except the coach goes, I don't need this bloke. I've got people in those positions that can do that job. No, selling shirts, number 9. No, we're doing this, and he's going to take penalties. But what if he misses it? Shut up. You shut up. Can you shut up? Did you see the amount of Instagram likes? Just shut up.
Doddsy, you know Spanish football backwards. I mean, I'm just going off the fact that you're wearing a Deportivo La Coruña shirt from 1999, which is just... You sat down, we thought Sheffield Wednesday, but how wrong were we? With Busquets, with Guardiola and that great Barcelona side, was he given, and you read a lot of Spanish press, was he given the heightened praise in a really tactical minded press over there, like media over there that can identify these things? Was he given his kind of plaudits the way he should have?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you look at they're actually a very good comparison because I think Rodri probably has a few aspects to his game. It's almost Busquets. I'm hesitant to say 2.0 because that sounds like it's being disrespectful to Busquets because Busquets is probably, my opinion, the best he's ever been in that position. He transformed that position from what used to be the Makalele role, didn't it? And now it became someone who was actually very good at progressing the ball rather than just giving it to the talented fella next to him. I think with Rodri, and he's actually been quite outspoken in Spain recently because he's doing a lot of press because obviously he's out injured at the moment. But I think he openly admits that Busquets was somebody he took a lot of aspects of his game from. Rodri's added goal scoring to that. Busquets wasn't really renowned for popping up at the edge of the box like Rodri does, and Rodri scored some massive goals, none bigger than the Champions League final. So I think Sergio Busquets absolutely has. The interesting thing about Busquets is there was a lot of criticisms is a harsh word. It's a strong word, but there were question marks about Bussi towards the end of his career because when he was playing for Spain, he looked a lot better than when he did playing for Barcelona towards him coming to the end of his career, right? In Spain anyway. And I think that is because he was exposed more because he didn't have the players around him at Barcelona that he had for Spain. Yeah. Now, I think that kind of bleeds into what you're saying about Rodri and him not being there, or maybe the players around Rodri don't have the capabilities to fill in for Rodri when he's not there, but also Rodri makes them look better, and they, in turn, I think, probably make Rodri look not better than what he is, because that's to say that he's not very good, but I think they probably extrapolate Rodri's abilities on the football pitch to another level.
And just to prove your point, I've told you that the only way to prove anything is with a YouTube supercut. So here is Sergio Busquets, the skills, the genius of simplicity. So this is official. He is officially the best at this position ever because he's got a supercut on YouTube. And until Rodri develops a supercut, he cannot be taken seriously. Look at that one. That was a good one.
Has that got trance music on it? Because it's not a real supercut until it's got something that you'd find pumping through a Belgian nightclub in the early 2000s.
Don't worry. Dead Mouse will show up at some point in his flashing helmet. There's one for the kids. Kids will love Dead Mouse chat.
Can we get Dead Mouse on the pod? Or the show, I should say.
It'll just be me with a bucket on my head, and there's no way you can just... You won't be able to... I can be Dead Mouse and Daft Punk in the same episode if you want.
Dodzy and I will be Daft Punk. We'll put on French accents. So, there you go. Just in closing about this subject, Manchester City will not win a thing this season because, they could replace Rodri, but who great is going to go there and fill that position with the knowledge that he's going to be back at the start of next season? So they're just going to probably sit on the bench. So they're going to find it really hard to replace a 6-month loan. Probably won't work. They won't win a thing. However, we just all hope that Pep Guardiola finishes the season with all the skin on his face. That's the only hope we can have. For dear Pep.
A club to manage in League Two. I'd love to see Rodri just take. Love to see. Then we can finally do what they should be doing, which is get it launched to Erling Haaland. When they're down in League Two, they can get it launched with Sam Allardyce at the helm and not feel guilty about it. Okay.
Welcome back, Calvin Phillips.
Well, you need Niall Quinn to make you need Niall Quinn to make Kevin Phillips work. Okay, Doddsy, your turn. That's topic one in the topic one in the book, Mr. Dodds.
Okay, topic 2 is based off the fact that the January transfer window is fast approaching, which means players who have less than 6 months on their contracts are then able to talk to various interested parties, clubs, and what may be. Neymar's contract is coming to an end in Saudi Arabia
with who?
2025.
Okay, so he's
Mariners, maybe.
Well, to be fair.
Could he get in?
They couldn't afford Usain Bolt.
Could he get inside?
So my point about Neymar is, and this is based off his dad's comments, and his dad is his agent's representative, looks after him, so you know which route this is going down.
Yeah.
I think Neymar is, in an era and an age of overrated players, I think Neymar is the ultimate never fulfilled what we thought he would as a football player. Now, I'll list off some stats about Neymar because people will say, well, hold on, he played an integral role in winning the treble for Barcelona in the 2014-2015 season. Probably some would say the best ever attacking trio in Luis Suarez, Lionel Messi and Neymar at Barcelona. He scored 22 goals in the league that year. I think the only people who, unsurprisingly, scored more were Messi and Ronaldo, who both got close to 50 goals in the La Liga that season. Mm-hmm. He scored what proved to be the winner in the Copa del Rey final, and he scored a series of important goals in the Champions League to get them to the final before then scoring the third against Juventus. So he absolutely delivered in his prime at Barcelona. And I think that's unfortunately for him, that is his prime. And that was at 25 when he should have been accelerated more. My biggest problem with Neymar is I think for a player that the world renowned, well, everybody around the world thought this guy is going to be unbelievable. You know, when he broke through at Santos, he ended up signing for Barcelona for about, a price that actually came out, not the one that they told everyone, was about 86 million euros, right? This guy could have had everything. And I think his decision to move to PSG at 25 to try and become the big fish out of Lionel Messi's shadow.
Hang on, let's not forget the 222 million they paid. That is a fair motivator to go to a place that was telling him that you're going to do everything you can possibly. Like he won the whatever that remontada was or whatever it was, and then the next day all the headlines were about Messi, and he was like, right, I better go, and off he went. I think that was the right thing to do for $222 million. I think that was the right thing to do.
But if you look at, I think that was the beginning of the end of his career then. Because if you look at what he did, right? And I'll tell you this. So at Paris Saint-Germain, winning Ligue 1 means nothing, right? Since they've had all the money in, it doesn't mean anything. Unai Emery won Ligue 1 there. Warranted he also didn't win it the first season of his charge. But he went there with the idea of having a Champions League glory on his CV that was his. He didn't do it. He couldn't do it. They threw all the money in the world at the team around him, some of the coaches they had there, and he couldn't do it. Injuries have played a big part in his career, don't get me wrong. But I think if you look at Neymar, the move to Saudi Arabia felt like he'd actually said, you know what? I can't hit those heights that everybody thought I was. The Brazilian national team, he's never won anything with the Brazilian national team. You won Olympic gold, who cares? It's not important in football.
Oh, geez, that is wow. You can ring up the South American players involved in and the Nigerian players involved in various Olympic tournaments and tell them that. No, the Olympic...
It's not the pinnacle. It's not the pinnacle of football. It's like golf or tennis. But anyway, so then he won a Confederations Cup again. Who cares? It's not, he wants to win a Copa America or he wants to win a World Cup.
Yeah.
My point with Neymar is he's now in this period where he moves to Saudi Arabia for 100 million a season. He does his ACL after 5 games. Has spent more time essentially being active away from the pitch than he has on it in Saudi Arabia. And he's now in a position where clubs are going to be looking at Neymar at 32. He's now a hamstring injury as we record this, thinking, is he worth the punt? And I think he is having been the player that I've been most disappointed with, given I was so excited when he came through and what he could have achieved. I think clubs would be well advised to steer clear of him. And to top it all off, I can't remember the podcast it was on recently, but there was a person on there who was doing his UEFA B coaching license, and they said the person that was on the course with them was a current active member of the coaching staff at Paris Saint-Germain. They said there was a clause inserted willingly into Neymar's contract that was worth a couple of $100,000 every time he went over and clapped the fans at the end of the game, because when they signed him, they were worried that he wasn't going to have a rapport with Paris Saint-Germain, because the whole reason they signed him was essentially for Neymar just to be Neymar and not really care about the club.
Wonderful.
So Neymar is my biggest disappointment I think I've ever seen in my 35 years of football, given the amount of talent that he had. And why clubs should no longer think about signing him in January.
Yeah, I disagree entirely. I think he's had the perfect career to bridge the two. He's caught in a landscape. He's like the Kinks when the Beatles and the Stones were going, where there's no song good enough to try and be better than Messi and Ronaldo. And he was 17, Santos, got the move he wanted to Barcelona, part of the that best team ever. He's the perfect microcosm. When they look back at this era of football, he is exactly who they need to study. He was obsessed with his own image. Once again, we've got a logo. He got kicked out of Nike because of various things. Went to Puma. You got Bolt, Neymar, people that you can't. They think they're going to be able to market. They can't. They can never get anything going. They're so unlucky, Puma, with the people they pick, because they've never had that. They had Maradona, still done nothing there. And he has made so much money failing. He has failed upwards and got paid for it every single time, basically off the premise of being a signing rather than a player. And I think his career is perfect. And he just if he goes to Brazil now and does what Ronaldo did and wins with a Brazilian club, that's awful, because that's like coming home and doing something almost, worthwhile. Neymar cannot do that. He needs to go. I don't know, where do you go from here, Adam? Once you've been to Saudi Arabia for all the money, what's the next most gauche thing he can do? It's got to be the MLS. He's got to go into either play for Inter Miami or set up a team in opposition to Inter Miami.
And I can see that happening, him going to the MLS, absolutely. And we'll get onto America's influence in football with your thing. I think, Ed, we saw it on the WhatsApp rundown that we have, poking around about 5 minutes before the show. That's how we do our rundown.
Incredible. It's just incredible.
With Neymar, I kind of agree with Ed in the sense that he's won because he's set up his life. And for everyone he knows, I don't know what he's like with his money, but hopefully he's not too flippant with it, and he should retire nicely instead of turning into Ronaldinho and having to do what he does these days to
pitching
earn
up a CommBank Stadium.
With all due respect to that organisation,
you don't think he dreams of playing with Tim Cahill's brother? I don't know, man. I can see I think the Neymar other Cahill combination has got some genuine. It's got some juice behind it.
Look, to be clear, I didn't have a problem with that. It's just like, did Ronaldinho imagine this when he scored that goal at Stamford Bridge that time, which goes down for me as my favourite ever Champions League goal? But that's by the by. Neymar, though, the footballer, is Neymar the image, not Neymar the footballer. And I think that's what Dodsy's getting at. And I kind of agree with him, or not kind of, I totally agree with him. He's reached a ceiling very early, which he could not. And that was the greatness of Messi and Ronaldo. And
that's
very
not his
unfair.
fault.
It's not his fault.
He had two people in front of him that there was he could never win the battle he was trying to win. To win the Ballon d'Or and to win the love and to win the social media influence and to win the media battle, he was never going to win against Messi and Ronaldo. And that's what consumed him.
I think he was. He was 25. Yeah. And if you look at the list of Ballon d'Or
But then go where?
He didn't need to go anywhere. Nah. That was my point. He didn't need to go anywhere. He's made more than enough money that he'll ever need in his life.
Yeah, but $222 million. And PSG said, we will build. You got to go back to the mindset at the time. When PSG said, we'll get you, they had, Paredes had to give him, the Argentinian international had to give him the number 10 shirt. Everyone was going there. It looked like the next place to go. It looked like, because he's obsessed with nightclubs. It looked like the next great nightclub. It looked like Mobile Home or, whatever it was on Bondi Beach many years ago. It looked like the next place, the next logical place to go was PSG. And Messi ended up there. That's what happens to these people.
Yeah, I can see him in Wrexham next up in Series 3 of Welcome to Wrexham.
What? That's not as far off as you think, because they've also hit a ceiling. They've run into Birmingham, which has got that. What's that bloke's name, Jodsy? They paid £10 million for him. The guy with England's worst haircut who can't stop scoring for Birmingham.
Well, Tom Brady's an owner there, isn't he?
Yes, and there's a guy who could have gone to the Championship and then possibly the Premier League, and there are people screaming at their device, and I accept that.
Stansfield?
That's him. So they've gone, and Birmingham have just pushed the boat out. It was like £10 million or something like that. And Wrexham now are going, hang on, what do you mean? We don't just get to keep winning. They are so prime for and they need something else for the next series. They are so prime. I don't think that's as far away as you think. They are so prime for a push the boat out situation. They need it.
Imagine him getting kicked to pieces in League One at the Championship.
Well, him versus Erling Haaland in League One. Now that's fun. Man City versus Wrexham in League One. Now that's something I'm signing up for, whatever app it is that they're pushing.
I've actually met Neymar. 2 secs. I just got to get a book off. I just got to get a photo out of a book. Talk amongst yourselves for a sec. I've just got to get something. I've met Neymar.
Right, so we've all met people, mate. We don't have to all just stand around saying I met.
You're talking like the Neymar meeting though. Mm-hmm. So Mikel Docker plays for Central Coast Mariners. Came through the Santos Academy.
Here we go.
I interviewed him last season. He said one of the most famous people he's ever met, and he got a photo with, is Neymar's dad. That, for me, tells you everything you need to know about Neymar's career.
Yeah.
Is that his dad is as influential as he is and is almost
but
as famous
Messi's
in his own
dad.
right.
But Messi's dad is also an agent. Like, the dad agent thing is Pep's brother who owns Hirona, who's nominally his agent. I as someone who's got agents, I would love it if one of my family members cared enough about me to, negotiate contracts. That's a fantastic idea.
I don't have the photo, unfortunately. Ed, can
Fantastic.
you put it in later?
One of the great,
You can't
that's one
do
of
it
the
on
great
YouTube.
teasers. That is absolutely fantastic.
One of the biggest
That
disappointments
is
is
so
Neymar.
that is so rosette. That's perfect for this show. I'm just going to get a photo. Don't have it.
Don't know. 2014 World Cup. I was actually lucky enough to be in Brazil. Fox Sports flew us over there somehow. But anyway. Wow. And we rock up to this massive street party. There would have been 10,000 people at this street party. The game was on multiple big screens in the middle of a shopping mall, open-air shopping mall in Rio de Janeiro. And one of the star attractions on the stage was actually Neymar. Yeah, nearly Bozza. Neymar. And it was like, whoa. And it's this guy who dressed as Neymar, but he kept his sunglasses the whole time. He's made his living as a Neymar impersonator. And the resemblance was uncanny. It was ridiculous. But his whole life was to resemble Neymar. So the bloke that couldn't resemble himself as a footballer.
Okay, Rosie FC, perfect for us that our first record just dropped out, but it has given Adam time to go and find this is a great closer to our first episode. This is the official photograph of when you met Neymar, the real Neymar, in Brazil at the World Cup.
Well, you've skipped ahead your talking point, which we'll get to in a moment. So it's not the official
I'm
closer.
very worried about the internet connection. Oh my goodness, which one's Neymar?
Just two skinny blokes doing their best.
Nomar.
Nomar. There you go. So, sorry. I've got it on low power, mine. But there he is.
Oh my
He
word.
made his living. He was earning somewhere in the region of 150 grand a year, I worked it out, to impersonate Neymar at various events throughout Brazil.
All right, could he sign for the Mariners, called Neymar, right, but just put a little accent on the A, all that money, and see how many games he could play before anyone noticed? Like, the announcement alone would be worth it.
They actually did that, and they worked out, much in the way of George Weah's cousin at Southampton, pretty quickly that he wasn't quite who he said he was. A bit like that, what was it, Ed, a couple of weeks ago in Argentina, the YouTuber
the
or something?
the YouTuber. Yeah, the YouTuber.
That was the influencer before the influencer, basically. Just before the age of the influencer.
That was the influenza.
Now, does he have to impersonate? Does he have to get the same injuries as Neymar? Because you know when when they murdered Elvis, they used some of his doubles that they used in the films to try and make people believe he was still alive. That's in a different YouTube clip that I'm currently making. But that is...
You know that.
Oh, listen, man. I've got a lot going on over here. You know, when a UPS truck arrives at night, and yet when they have the return address and the slip, nobody from the UPS works there, and he's allowed into Graceland. Didn't see that in the Baz Luhrmann film. I mean, I imagine if the UPS guy was shirtless wearing sparkles, he would have put him in there. But sadly,
Just
not
to
the
confirm,
case.
this isn't your topic that we're discussing.
Well, it's always one of my topics. Thank you for asking.
Ed, to your topic. What is your topic this week?
My topic is the poor storage capacity of the provider we're using that I paid a lot for to get this. No, just quickly. I'll do this quickly. I've got two for you. Actually, do you know what? We might close on this. We might do, because the story no one's talking about is that the USA is now one away. So Arsenal, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Ipswich, Liverpool and Manchester United all have US ownership. In the Championship, Burnley, Cardiff, Leeds United, Millwall, Norwich, Plymouth, which I didn't know, then Portsmouth, Michael Eisner, who knew, from former Disney, Swansea City and West Bromwich Albion. So if you look at the way that the votes are going at the moment in the Premier League meeting, they're only one. So if Burnley and Cardiff or Burnley and Leeds got promoted and Southampton and give me a team, Dodsy, that's not on the list I just gave you down the bottom of the Premier League.
Millwall. Sorry, get promoted.
One job. Yeah. Just had one job. Unbelievable.
Someone down the bottom.
It's just the Dodsy impersonator.
Well, Everton are about to have US ownership.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, because they're about to get it. So Dodsy is 0 for 2, so he's lost all credibility. That's fair enough. So that means, though, that the USA is going to have the 14 they need to do whatever they want in the Premier League. Let's put that together with the fact that over 50% of Serie A is now American-owned. So that's probably... Look, I reckon it might be a good thing, because they can go for much more commercial deals, maybe get some new stadiums built and some better English language coverage. Because Dodsy and Pete, actually, Adam, you'll know this. didn't the Serial have to create their own streaming service, worse than Fetch TV, to try and get some people to watch it?
Yeah, they had something like that. I do know that the French First Division, Liga, at the moment, they've just gone direct to consumer.
I've actually got an exclusive announcement.
Yes?
They've just signed a deal with the screens at the Wild Bean Cafe, so that's really exciting for them.
For your $2 mochaccino or whatever
Is
it
that
is.
a plug? Is that? Oh, what is that?
That's our sponsorship level.
Yeah, thank you. My lot: Inter, Roma, Atalanta, Fiorentina, Parma, Genoa, Venezia, Verona, and then Bologna. But just to be weird, I've got Canadian owners. And so that means that because Hellas Verona, a Texas investment fund, just paid €80 million, Dodzy, to acquire Verona, which means that 50% will now be owned by North Americans.
Yeah. The fear, is it not, Dodzy, that they think that they're all going to vote in a block to scrap promotion and relegation because they want locked leagues like they have traditionally in America. Like, it took Todd Bowley a bit to get through his head that, yes, it's a very different way here, even though he's come up with a contracting model for his Chelsea players, very similar to what he's done with the LA Dodgers.
It's working.
But I can't see. You look at the American political landscape, 330 million Americans, they don't quite vote the same way. So I don't think we're in any danger.
They most certainly do. They very clearly do, my friend.
Even that was 60%.
I can guarantee most of these clubs, their benefactors are benefactors of the man who's going to be in charge of the United States.
Good news, man. Finally, we get some. We'll kind of get some level-headed thinking around here. You know what I'm saying?
They won't be on the same page. If that's your fear, Ed, I don't think they'll be on the same page to get things through that the English historically have had, and football throughout Europe has had. Dodzy, have you got a read on this?
I think whilst it's understandable to be hesitant or maybe scared of those owners coming in, I think you've only got to look at American owners in the past. Randy Lerner being a prime example. Ellis Short at Sunderland had his pants well and truly pulled down time after time after time. And they soon realised, and the Glazer family being, one of those as well, although that dragged on for a lot longer than it in theory should have.
And also, you got to remember that family that worked. They made personally $600 million, was it, and then sold it for triple what they paid for it. So that worked. That's what's attracted these other people to it. That model,
and that's fine. But all those clubs aren't Manchester United. Crystal Palace, for example. Crystal Palace get relegated. He is going to try and sell that for as. He will get out straight away, because once you drop down, if you don't come straight back up again, I know the parachute payments are still in effect, and that does soften the blow, but you are then in quicksand, and that's the caveat to what you're saying, is that I suppose if they're not winning the Premier League, and if they're not up there, and the money they're getting back in return for what they invested, and bearing in mind when these American owners come in and invest, they don't invest their own money. It's not, the debt that was leveraged against Manchester United when the Glazers came in was extortionate.
What have they spent of their own money, the Glazers? I heard a figure the other day.
It's under 100. It's actually under 50. Yeah, it's actually nothing.
That's amazing.
And so that's what makes me think, and this is the Premier League, remember, compared to La Liga and Serie A, where the money that's on offer is nowhere near what it is in the Premier League.
Is what I'm saying. That's what they're looking at. You're a Texas billion, whatever their fund, and you got €80 million, and you go, let's go to Hellas Verona. That's because they can see it. They go, hang on, there's actually potential here.
Yeah, it's like Neymar when he's 25. He can go
up. Exactly. Yeah.
I just think the ownership thing is just so, it's.
Are you worried, Ed, or you think this is a good thing?
I'm in the couldn't care less category, because it makes me so. I just think it's so disingenuous when you hear, particularly English, sort of journalists and investigative reporters and sort of stuff.
Yeah, James.
Sort of wailing about the change in ownership from this person to that person to this country to that country, and you go, yeah, don't suddenly pretend you care about Burnley. You don't, because all that's been shown to us over the past, since the Premier League started, is that everyone was quite happy for the Premier League to just charge off into the distance commercially and in a sporting sense, because it meant everyone got a job. That's every single person who's complaining about this model is being paid by it. It's just back off.
It's open market as well. It's open market stuff. So
I think with this, people who would be scared, and I keep using that word because that is what people base off the Manchester United fans' experience of the Glazers, right? And to a certain extent, the Arsenal fans' experience with Stan Kroenke, the owner there. It's not a problem if you get the right people in at the football club.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you looked at what happened with Arsenal.
Yeah,
they were failing,
you're right.
really,
You got it.
and they weren't putting the money in. But then they brought in good executive level members of the club, and then it works. So
you're right. It doesn't matter. It's not the nationality. It's who they are from there and what their attitude to it is. I guess you're right. Yeah. That's that. All right. Well, that's that. And so I'm looking forward to when Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia's bought FIFA. And so now Americans are buying the clubs. So that is the battle that I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, I think they're on the same page, if you know what I mean. So just one last one, guys. You mentioned Ellis Short before. Who mentioned Ellis Short? Dodsey, did you mention him?
Yes.
Yeah, I've actually been to his house, which was
photo?
interesting. I don't have a photo because I didn't know it was his house until... What? And this was when he was Sunderland owner. What? And me being a Newcastle fan... It was at Wimbledon one year, and the Wimbledon people in tennis just know everyone. It was really weird. So we get driven to inner West London, where the houses are just ridiculous. Like next to Buckingham Palace is this joint. We've walked in, and I didn't know we were going to a barbecue with tennis people. Walked in, and I've walked in. I looked on the wall, and I've looked on the wall, and I've gone, "Is that who I think it is?" And it was Ellis Short with his son and his wife in a family photo. I've walked in the house, and it took everything in my power not to just get the tomato sauce bottle and go berserk in one of their lounge rooms, one of their 8 lounge rooms.
So what, he rented the house out for that period, that time of year?
That was his house. His wife was friends with all the tennis players, and we've ended up getting an invite somehow. And I've walked out the back, and Ed, you might remember this name, being a Socceroos historian, your good self, Clayton Zane.
Now we're talking.
I've walked in,
didn't he score a winner at a Confederations Cup against Brazil?
He scored.
Who did we?
I don't know if he scored the winner.
He was certainly in that.
Definitely scored.
Yeah, Clayton Zane. Oh my God,
he was Ellis Short's son's personal football coach.
Shut up.
So
personal football coach.
Yes, one-on-ones. And then
is that because Danny Tiato wasn't available? That is absolutely fantastic. He's one of the
poor
best.
kid. He could head a ball, but he couldn't tackle like Danny, so he missed out in that regard.
That is one of the best things. Okay, you ready?
Weird.
Here we go. Sunderland official website. Insane Football. Insane Football was set up by former Socceroo to provide an additional path for junior footballers to develop both as players and individuals.
He's a good man, Clayton Zane.
So if
you want to find someone to improve your football, hit up Clacker, as he's known as.
God, that is... Well, congratulations. I went to a few Northern Spirit games that had some Clayton Zane attached to it. All right, we're going to finish on this because it's as a new show, you've got to make sure you're in keeping with the norms. And I don't know if you saw this, but what you have to do at the moment on all football shows is you've got to have some insanely unfunny banter about the fact that there's a team in the Champions League called Brest. And so here's comedian in chief Micah Richards doing it. So let's just learn, then we'll have a go. All right. So this is how it's done.
In these segments we're talking about Brest. So we would just would like to ask you, are you comfortable with just staying silent whilst we...
Come on, okay, I can do this.
Not a word. Silence. Invisible. No, we can't. Please. After 4 games. Who here likes Brest?
Okay.
Like Brest. You do too?
I like the shape of them.
Yeah.
He's got a front 2 tonight? Yeah, two pair up front that are going to trouble. Just work off each other. Yeah.
I'm interested, how much do you enjoy watching them? Would you pay to watch them?
I have to.
Okay. I get the idea.
You can say you don't have to be big, you can be small and compete.
That's interesting. Good.
Right.
Do you think Brest could get exposed tonight?
I hope so.
There we go. All right. So that's how it works. All right. So that's how it works. Okay. So now you know the idea. Here we go. So I'm just I haven't given you guys notice here, so you have to come up with one. They've done them all. Let's see how you go. James, what are you hoping to see from Brest tonight?
I would like to see Brest.
Fantastic.
Particularly.
Adam, you're not laughing.
I'd actually like them to mix their game plan up and play some balls in behind. You weren't a fan of that, Ed?
No, I loved it. And now you ask me.
Okay. Brest, what shape should they play?
Oh, I like Brest, but I much prefer cock.
Are they playing the German second tier?
Yes.
Is that right? Is that what I'm meant to do?
No.
Did I not?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Damn it. All right. You know what? I'll try again next week. I almost got there. All right, Rosette FC, YouTube, podcast. You can send Dodsy money directly to his OnlyFans account. So just load him up. We don't have that's how you get in touch. So we'll be seeing Mr. Adam Peacock on the Stan Sports coverage. Dodsy, where are you tactical switching next?
I will be joining the Rosette team from the UK next week.
Wow.
So I'm heading back.
How long are you going for?
28 days, all up.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And if you want to see, I'll be at the Western United versus Melbourne Victory game if you want to come and, I don't know.
Say hello.
Yeah, just do a
Talk about Brest.
Do some breast gags. Lovely, boys. All right, we will catch you next episode.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.